The Wardenclyffe. Mystery. Why Tesla's Dream Tower fell summer, 1901. The salty breeze off Long Island Sound carries the sharp tang of fresh-cut timber and the rhythmic clang of hammers against steel. In the rural hamlet of Shoreham, New York, a colossal structure rises from the earth, a 187-foot tower piercing the sky, its wooden frame a skeleton of ambition. Below-ground shafts plunge 120 feet deep, anchoring what inventor Nikola Tesla envisions as the heart of a global wireless revolution. Spanning 200 acres, the site buzzes with workers hauling bricks for a 94 by 94-foot laboratory, its red facade hiding tunnels and machinery that promise to beam electricity across oceans without wires. Costing an initial $150,000, equivalent to over $5 million today, this isn't just a building, it's a portal to the future. Yet, by 1917, this marvel lies in ruins, dynamited and sold for scrap. Did Tesla himself orchestrate its destruction, or was a deeper mystery at play? This documentary unravels the enigma, exposing the genius, greed, and heartbreak behind Wardenclyffe. Chapter 1: The Tower's Shadow, Unveiling the Enigma. It is the summer of 1903 in Shoreham, New York. Hammers ring out against steel girders. Workers swarm like ants over a colossal wooden frame, their shouts piercing the humid air as they hoist massive beams skyward. The structure looms. A 187-foot tower, its octagonal base anchored deep into the earth, crowned with a half-finished cupola that glints under the relentless sun. Below, invisible to the eye, a 120-foot shaft plunges straight down. A 12-foot square well lined with sturdy timbers, designed to channel energies beyond comprehension. The salty tang of Long Island Sound mingles with the scent of fresh pine and machine oil. This is Wardenclyffe, Nikola Tesla's audacious laboratory complex, sprawling across 200 acres of rural land. A red brick powerhouse, 94 feet by 94 feet, hums with generators and coils, its arched windows framing the promise of a wireless world. Electricity crackles in the air. Innovation pulses through every rivet. Yet this pinnacle of human ingenuity teeters on the edge of oblivion. The central paradox grips us even now. Tesla, the enigmatic inventor, poured his genius into Wardenclyffe to revolutionize global communication and power transmission, beaming energy wirelessly across continents, freeing humanity from the tyranny of wires. Funded initially by $150,000 from financier J.P. Morgan, equivalent to roughly $5.5 million in today's dollars. This was no mere experiment. It was a bid to reshape civilization. But by 1917, the tower lies in rubble, dynamited and sold for scrap to settle debts. Did Tesla himself order its destruction, as rumours swirl? Or did forces of greed, rivalry, and misunderstanding conspire against him? The Wardenclyffe mystery endures, a tale of visionary triumph shadowed by tragic downfall. This documentary peels back the layers, revealing the man behind the myth, the Herculean efforts to build it, the hidden human toll, the crises that doomed it, and its echoes in our modern world. Picture the scene unfolding. Tesla strides the site, his tall frame clad in a tailored suit, eyes alight with fervour. He envisions messages flashing instantaneously from New York to London, power illuminating remote villages without a single cable. The tower's design is revolutionary, a magnified Tesla coil, capable of generating millions of volts. Its wooden lattice, sheathed in pine, rises like a sentinel over the landscape, supported by iron struts that echo the Eiffel Tower's elegance, but serve a far more radical purpose. Underground, that 120-foot shaft connects to radial pipes extending outward, grounding the system in the Earth's conductive layers. Workers drill and dig, their tools biting into clay and rock. The laboratory building, with its high ceilings and vast open floors, houses dynamos and oscillators, each component meticulously engineered. The scale astonishes. 200 acres of potato fields transformed into a hub of progress, complete with rail spurs for material delivery and worker barracks for the crew. But cracks already form beneath the surface. Tesla's ambitions outpace his funds. Morgan's investment covers only the basics. Yet Tesla dreams bigger, expanding from telegraphy to free energy distribution. Whispers of overreach circulate among investors. The press hails it as a wonder, skeptics dismiss it as folly. Here at its peak, Wardenclyffe embodies the Gilded Age's duality, boundless innovation amid stark inequality. Tesla, the immigrant genius, challenges titans like Edison and Marconi. His tower promises to democratize power, yet it relies on the whims of the ultra-wealthy. This contrast fuels the enigma. Why build such a marvel only to see it crumble? The answer lies in a web of personal drive, technical hurdles, human struggles, and economic tempests. As we journey through this story, we'll first delve into Tesla's origins, the Serbian-born visionary, whose early triumphs and inner demons shaped his grandest pursuit. From there, we'll explore the site's selection on Long Island's North Shore, chosen for its isolation and proximity to New York financiers, and the economic boom of the early 1900s that made such extravagance possible. Construction challenges come next. The sourcing of rare materials like copper wire from across the Atlantic, the labour of hundreds battling weather and delays, and innovations like high-frequency transformers that pushed engineering boundaries. We'll witness the brief golden era when the tower hummed with tests, lighting bulbs miles away without connections, and Tesla hosted luminaries in lavish demonstrations. Yet, beauty hid burdens, the human cost from immigrant workers toiling in grueling conditions to service staff maintaining the illusion of effortless grandeur. Crisis strikes, funding dries up, scandals erupt, personal setbacks mount. Transformation follows as ownership shifts. Decay sets in and preservation battles rage. Hidden histories emerge. Archival digs uncovering forgotten blueprints, stories of erased labourers surfacing. Finally, we'll reflect on Wardenclyffe's legacy, a symbol of untapped potential, a cautionary tale for today's tech revolutions. Key figures underscore the immensity. The tower's 187-foot height rivaled contemporary skyscrapers, its underground depth of 120 feet, a feat of excavation rivaling mining operations. The 94 by 94-foot laboratory, built with over 1 million bricks, cost tens of thousands in materials alone. The entire 200-acre site, purchased for a relative pittance, ballooned in value as development encroached. These numbers aren't just statistics, they measure ambition's reach and its fragility. Foreshadowing the fall, even in 1903, delays plagued the project. Workers grumble over unpaid wages. Morgan's letters grow terse. The air crackles not just with electricity, but with tension. What drove Tesla to this precipice? To understand the mystery's core, we must turn back the clock to the man himself, his humble beginnings, his meteoric rise, and the obsessions that birthed Wardenclyffe. Chapter 2. Origins of a Visionary. Tesla's Quest for the Impossible. A single oil lamp flickers in a cramped Colorado Springs laboratory. It is September 1899. Nikola Tesla, alone at midnight, watches a coil the size of a small house erupt in blue-white lightning. Bolts leap 30 feet. Thunderclaps rattle windows a mile away, and the Earth itself hums at 100,000 cycles per second. The experiment lasts 90 seconds, but in that flash, Tesla sees the future. Energy transmitted through the planet like radio waves through air. Wardenclyffe is born in his mind that night, though the name and the tower are still years away. To grasp why he would later stake everything, reputation, fortune, sanity, on a 187-foot wooden spire in rural Long Island, we must trace the circuit back to its source. A sensitive boy in the Austrian Empire who dreamed of harnessing Niagara Falls before he was 10. Nikola Tesla arrived in New York Harbor on June 6, 1884, with 4 cents, a letter of recommendation, and a head full of alternating current schematics. Born July 10, 1856, in the Serbian village of Smiljan, then part of Austria-Hungary, he was the fourth of 5 children of an Orthodox priest and an illiterate but mechanically gifted mother. Duca Tesla could invent household tools without diagrams. Young Nikola inherited the knack and the restlessness. At age 7, he built a water wheel that spun without visible power. At 12, a 16 bug-powered motor. Tuberculosis nearly killed him at 17, but during delirium he memorized Goethe and calculated logarithms in his head. Recovery sharpened an already obsessive mind. By 1882, in Budapest, Tesla experienced what he called his revelation. While reciting Faust in a park, the complete design of the induction motor flashed before him. Rotating, magnetic fields, polyphase current, the system that would electrify the world. He sketched it in the dirt with a stick. No prototype existed yet. The math simply worked. George Westinghouse bought the patents in 1888 for $60,000 in cash, 150 shares of stock, and a $2.50 per horsepower royalty, roughly $2 million in 2025 dollars. The War of the Currents followed. Tesla Westinghouse AC versus Edison's direct current. On May 1st, 1893, the Chicago World's Fair glowed with 100,000 Tesla-lit bulbs. 2 years later, Niagara Falls Station No. 1 sent 5,000 horsepower of AC power 22 miles to Buffalo. Tesla, now 39, was famous, wealthy, and dangerously bored. Wealth never interested him. Control did. Edison offered $50,000, over $1.6 million today, to convert his DC dynamos to AC. Tesla did it in months. Edison joked the offer was a prank and paid nothing. The betrayal stung, but it also clarified Tesla's creed. Ideas must serve humanity, not corporations. He tore up his Westinghouse royalty contract during the Panic of 1894 to save the company from bankruptcy, an act of principle that cost him tens of millions. By 1898, he lived in the Gerlach Hotel, later the Radio Wave Building, on credit, dining nightly with writers Mark Twain and Rudyard Kipling, sketching wireless schemes on tablecloths. Location mattered. Colorado Springs offered altitude, dry air, and cheap land for high-voltage tests. There, over 9 months, Tesla spent $100,000 of his own money, about $3.7 million today, building the experimental station, a barn-like lab with a 122-foot retractable mast. He generated artificial lightning, photographed it on glass plates, and proved the Earth could conduct electricity. Notes from October 1899 record signals received from 2,000 miles away, possibly Marconi's transatlantic tests, possibly cosmic noise. Tesla believed both. He filed patent 1219 on 732 for apparatus for transmitting electrical energy on January 18, 1900. The blueprint, a magnified transmitter grounded through the planet, resonating at the Schumann frequency, later measured at 783 Hz. Wardenclyffe would be the prototype. Why Shoreham, Long Island? 3 reasons converged. First, isolation. 65 miles east of Manhattan, far from city interference yet reachable by the Long Island Railroad's new North Shore branch. Second, geology. Sandy soil and high water table, ideal for grounding. Third, symbolism. Tesla wanted the tower visible from ships entering New York Harbor, a beacon announcing the wireless age. In March 1901, he purchased 200 acres from local farmer James Warden for $2,000 cash, approximately $73,000 today. The deed included mineral rights and a clause allowing scientific experiments. Locals assumed a factory. Tesla saw the nerve center of a global grid. Economic context framed the gamble. The Gilded Age roared. J.P. Morgan had just merged steel companies into U.S. Steel, the first billion-dollar corporation. Marconi sent the Yigar Team I, letter S, across the Atlantic on December 12, 1901, using a 25-horsepower transmitter. Tesla scoffed. Marconi's system needed massive power and worked only line of sight. Wardenclyffe would use the ionosphere as a waveguide, requiring far less energy and reaching any point on Earth. Morgan, fresh from bailing out the US Treasury in the 1895 gold crisis, smelled monopoly. On December 13, 1900, Tesla secured $150,000, about $5.5 million today, for 51% equity in the Nikola Tesla company. The contract specified wireless telegraphy only. Tesla quietly planned worldwide power. Personal contradictions shadowed the vision. Tesla was ascetic, vegetarian, celibate, sleeping 4 hours nightly, yet craved spectacle. He wore white gloves, counted jaw movements while chewing, and feared pearls on women. He loved pigeons, feeding them daily in Bryant Park, nursing injured ones in his hotel suite. Genius bordered mania. He claimed to receive inventions fully formed from an external source, spoke of conversing with Mars, and predicted pocket-sized communicators by 1975. Investors saw brilliance. Colleagues saw instability. By spring 1901, Tesla stood on a Shoreham hill, wind whipping his coat, sketching the tower in a notebook. The design evolved nightly, wooden lattice to minimize wind resistance, copper hemisphere 68 feet in diameter, atop a 154-foot steel mast, spiral staircase inside for maintenance. Underground, iron pipes would radiate 300 feet in 16 directions, each one 200 feet long, forming a subterranean antenna. The lab would house a 600-horsepower Westinghouse alternator, coal-fired boilers, and a machine shop. Cost estimates spiraled from $150,000 to $450,000 before ground was broken. Tesla believed the demonstration would attract unlimited capital. He was wrong, but not yet. The visionary had chosen his battlefield. Soon, architects, engineers, and hundreds of labourers would converge on potato fields to raise a structure unlike any before. But first, the Earth itself had to yield. Chapter 3. Construction Challenge. Raising the Impossible. Dawn breaks over Shoreham on July 15, 1901. A steam whistle shrieks. 200 men spill from a makeshift bunkhouse, boots thudding on pine planks still wet with dew. The air smells of coal smoke and horse sweat. In the distance, the Long Island Railroad spur coughs up a flat car loaded with red bricks, 50,000 of them, fresh from the Krebs yard in Newark, New Jersey. This is the first day of true construction at Wardenclyffe. The Earth is about to be forced into Tesla's vision. Stanford White, the era's most celebrated architect, signs the drawings on March 1, 1901. His firm, McKim, Mead & White, is paid $3,000, about $110,000 today, to translate Tesla's feverish sketches into buildable plans. The laboratory building is a fortress of function disguised as elegance. 94 feet square, 2 stories plus a full basement. Walls 18 inches thick, faced in Harvard brick laid in running. Bond. The roof is a low-pitched hip clad in copper, already turning verdigris in the salt air. Inside, a 60-foot clear span allows unobstructed placement of coils and dynamos. White's touch is visible in the arched windows and the restrained Renaissance detailing. Beauty serving science. Ground is broken on July 22, 1901. The contractor is William J. Crow of Brooklyn, a specialist in industrial plants. His bid, $87,000 for the laboratory alone, excluding the tower. Tesla counters with $72,000 and a promise of on-site innovation. Crow accepts, but the contract includes a penalty clause, $100 per day past the October 1902 deadline. The race begins. Materials arrive in waves. Bricks, 1.2 million shipped in 24 rail cars. Structural steel, 400 tons from Carnegie's American Bridge Company, each beam stamped Pittsburgh. Copper, 3,000 pounds of 308-inch plate for the tower's cupola, sourced from the Anaconda mine in Montana. Timber, 120,000 board feet of long-leaf yellow pine. From Georgia, cut to Tesla's exact taper for the tower legs. The workforce is a cross-section of Gilded Age labour. Italian masons from Naples, 40 men earning $175 for a 10-hour day. Irish carpenters, 60 strong, paid $2 amials. Black labourers from Virginia, 35 men on the excavation gangs, $125. Local farm boys, 50 teenagers at $1 hauling wheelbarrows of sand. Total payroll peaks at $1,800 weekly, roughly $66,000 in 2025 dollars. Tesla visits every Saturday, paying in crisp $20 bills from a leather satchel. The first crisis hits in August. The 120-foot shaft, 12 feet square, timber-lined, must reach bedrock. At 87 feet, the crew strikes water. A torrent pours in at 200 gallons per minute. Tesla orders a Worthington steam pump installed overnight. It runs 18 hours daily for 6 weeks. The shaft is completed on October 3rd, lined with 2-inch oak planks caulked with pitch. From its bottom, 16 radial tunnels are driven outward, each 100 feet long, 3 feet high, 2 feet wide. Inside, iron pipes 4 inches in diameter are laid end-to-end, soldered with silver alloy. The purpose? To create a low-resistance path into the Earth's conductive layer. Tesla calculates the system's capacitance at 0.8 microfarads, enough, he claims, to resonate with the planet itself. The tower rises in November. Its base is an octagon 60 feet across, anchored by 8 concrete piers, sunk 16 feet into gravel. The legs, 4 laminated pine columns, each 18 inches square at the base, tapering to 12 inches at the top, are hoisted by a 60-foot gin pole, powered by a 10-horsepower steam donkey engine. On December 14, 1901, the cupola frame is lifted. A 68-foot copper hemisphere weighing 6 tons, assembled on the ground and raised in one piece. The maneuver takes 14 hours. A photographer from Scientific American captures the moment. The image runs on page 1 with the caption, "Tesla's wireless wonder." Delays mount. Winter storms halt steelwork for 3 weeks. A strike by the bricklayers, union in January 1902, demands an 8-hour day. Tesla settles at 9 hours with a 10-cent raise. The Westinghouse alternator, promised for March, arrives in June, delayed by a fire at the Pittsburgh works. By July 1902, the laboratory is roofed but unfinished. The tower stands at 154 feet, awaiting its final 33-foot mast. Tesla's letters to Morgan grow frantic. Another $150,000 will complete the plant and demonstrate commercial transmission to Europe. Morgan wires back, "Show me messages first, power later." The pivot from telegraphy to energy transmission becomes the project's fatal fracture. Technical innovations emerge under pressure. High-frequency transformer, a 50-kilowatt unit with a 10-foot secondary coil, wound with 600 turns of Dia-8 silk-insulated wire. Condenser bank, 1,200 Leyden jars in oil, total capacitance, 0.36 microfarads. Grounding system, 16 iron pipes driven 300 feet radially, connected by a 2-inch copper bus buried 4 feet deep. The machine shop, 40 by 60 feet, is equipped with a 20-inch lathe, a planer, and a drill press, all powered by a 15-horsepower Westinghouse motor. Tesla sleeps there on a cot when deadlines loom. On September 15, 1902, the tower reaches full height, 187 feet from grade to cupola peak. A silk American flag is raised. The crew cheers. Tesla stands apart, eyes fixed on the horizon. The structure is complete, but the system is broke. Costs have ballooned to $250,000, over $9 million today. Morgan refuses further funds. Work stops on Oktoberfern. The penalty clock ticks. The laboratory stands half-finished. Windows glazed, but interiors raw. The tower, a wooden colossus, sways gently in the wind, its copper dome gleaming like a second sun. Inside the shaft, water seeps again. The pump is sold for scrap. The radial pipes lie silent, their silver solder already tarnishing. Construction has conquered physics, but not finance. The golden period beckons, brief, brilliant, and doomed. In the next chapter, we enter the laboratory as Tesla flips the switch for the first time, lighting the night without wires while creditors circle in the shadows. Chapter 4. The Golden Period. Lightning on command midnight, July 15, 1903. The Shoreham sky is cloudless, stars sharp as diamonds. Inside the Wardenclyffe laboratory, a 600-horsepower Westinghouse alternator spins at 9,000 revolutions per minute, its copper windings glowing dull red. Tesla stands at the control panel, white-gloved hand on a brass lever. A single nod. The switch closes. A low hum rises to a scream. The 187-foot tower outside erupts. Blue-white streamers lash from the copper cupola, arcing 135 feet into the night. Thunderclaps roll across Long Island Sound. Grass on the 200-acre site stands upright, charged by the field. For 3 minutes the air itself glows. Then silence. A mile away, in the village, every light bulb in the general store flickers on. No wires, no connection. The golden period begins. The laboratory is now fully operational. The 94 by 94-foot brick building houses a cathedral of machinery. Main floor, a 50-kilowatt high-frequency transformer, its 10-foot secondary coil wound with 600 turns of silk-insulated wire. Basement, 1,200 Leyden jars in oil baths. Total capacitance, 0.36 microfarads. Mezzanine, oscilloscopes, rheostats, and a 20-foot spark gap that snaps like rifle fire. Power comes from two 200-horsepower coal-fired Babcock and Wilcox boilers, each consuming 200 pounds of anthracite per hour. A 40-foot brick chimney vents steam and soot. The machine shop runs 18 hours daily, turning out custom brass fittings and porcelain insulators. Annual operating costs, $48,000, about $1.8 million today. Staff hierarchy is rigid. Tesla, chief engineer, $0 salary, lives on credit. George Scherf, secretary, 25-week. 2 electrical engineers, 35-week each. 6 machinists, 22-week. 12 labourers, 12-week. 1 cook, Mrs. Olson, 8-week plus room. Daily rhythm is relentless. 5 a.m. Boilers fired. 6 a.m. Alternators synchronized. 7 a.m. Tesla arrives by train from the Waldorf Astoria, carrying fresh pigeons in a wicker cage. He works until 10 p.m., dictating notes in Serbian shorthand. Meals are vegetarian. Rice, lentils, milk, served on a deal table in the machine shop. Peak operations occur in bursts. On August 12, 1903, Tesla transmits a 10-kilowatt signal, 30 miles to a receiver, on a yacht in the Sound. The yacht's captain wires back, bulbs lit, compass spinning. On September 3rd, he lights 200 incandescent lamps 25 miles away in New Haven. No wires. The New York Times headline screams, "Tesla's tower talks to ships." Investors swarm. J.P. Morgan receives daily telegrams. Social life intrudes. Tesla hosts twice weekly. September 22nd, 1903. Mark Twain arrives by carriage, smokes a cigar under the tower, and writes in the guest book, "I have seen lightning made to order." October 10th. John Jacob Astor IV tours the lab, offers $100,000 for a demonstration to London. Tesla declines. Not ready. November 5th. A gala for 40 guests. The tower is illuminated with coloured arc lights. A string quartet plays from the cupola platform, 154 feet up, reached by the internal spiral stair. Champagne flows. Tesla in white tie toasts the end of distance. Hidden costs mount. Coal deliveries 80 tons weekly at 4 to 50 ton. Labourers work 60-hour weeks. Accidents rise. On October 18th, machinist Fritz Lowenstein loses 2 fingers to a lathe. Tesla pays $500 in compensation, about $18,000 today, and installs guards. The pump in the 120-foot shaft fails again. Water rises to 40 feet. A new electric pump is ordered from Westinghouse, $2,800 unpaid. The tower itself is a living thing. Wind loads at 90 miles per hour cause a 3-foot sway at the top. Tesla adds diagonal guy wires of 1-inch steel cable, anchored 200 feet out. The copper cupola expands and contracts with temperature. Popping rivets. A crew of 4 climbs daily to tighten bolts. The EIC in underground radial pipes, 16 lines, each 1 to 200 feet long, begin corroding at the joints. Silver solder fails in the damp soil. Tesla orders replacement with phosphor bronze, cost $12,000. No funds. By December 1903, the golden glow fades. Marconi sends the first commercial transatlantic message on January 18, 1903, using 25 horsepower to Tesla's 200. Morgan's patience snaps. On December 12, 1903, he wires, "No more money until messages pay." Tesla counters with a 40-page report claiming power transmission is 99% proven. Morgan files it unread. The final experiment comes on January 19, 1904. Tesla attempts to signal the Royal Navy Station at Poldhu, Cornwall, 3,500 miles. The tower fires for 37 minutes. A faint T is received in England but drowned in static. The alternator's bearings cease from overheating. Repairs, $8,000. The lab falls silent. On February 1st, 1904, Tesla dismisses all but 3 staff. The boilers cool. Pigeons roost in the rafters. The tower stands sentinel, its copper dome dulled by salt air. The golden period, 6 months of lightning on command, ends not with a bang, but with unpaid bills. The machine behind the beauty is revealed, a fragile colossus sustained by coal, credit, and one man's will. The human cost, long simmering, is about to boil over. In the next chapter, we descend into the trenches with the labourers who built the dream and were discarded when it faltered. Chapter 5. The human cost faces behind the lightning rain, lashes the Wardenclyffe site on March 3, 1902. A 22-year-old Italian mason named Antonio Russo slips from a scaffold 40 feet up the laboratory wall. He lands on a pile of bricks, spine shattered. No doctor arrives for 6 hours. Tesla, summoned from New York, offers $200, about $7,400 today, and a train ticket home to Naples. Russo dies 2 days later in a Shoreham boarding house. His name appears in no official record, This is the human cost. Invisible, expendable, essential. The workforce peaks at 238 men and boys in summer 1902. They are not statistics, they are flesh and blood. The Italians, 62 masons and hod carriers from Calabria and Sicily, recruited in Manhattan's Little Italy. Average age 26. They live in a 60 by 20-foot bunkhouse with 30 double bunks, one stove, no plumbing. Weekly wage $10.50 for 60 hours. Food, salt pork, beans, bread. The Irish 58 carpenters and ironworkers from County Cork, many fresh off the coffin ships. They rent rooms in Shoreham Village at $2 a week. Wage, 12 hummin hours. The Black Crew, 41 labourers from Norfolk, Virginia, hired through a Richmond agency. They sleep in a segregated barracks, eat last, paid $7.50 a week. The locales, 77 teenagers and men from Wading River and Port Jefferson, paid $6 8 hour. Total weekly payroll, $2,140, approximately $79,000 in 2025 dollars. Tesla's personal fortune at the project's start, $120,000 liquid. By 1904, he is $80,000 in debt. The math is brutal. Conditions are medieval. Hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 days. No overtime. Safety, no harnesses, no nets. Scaffolds are lashed with manila rope. Sanitation, 2 privies for 238 men. Typhoid strikes in August 1902. 3 die. Injuries 47 recorded from 1901, 1904. 12 crushed fingers. 8 falls. 5 electrocutions during wiring tests. 1 death. Rousseau. The tower itself is a killer. On November 12, 1901, 19-year-old Patrick O'Rourke, an Irish rigger, is struck by a falling 400-pound timber beam at 120 feet. He dangles by his safety rope. There is no safety rope. He falls. Tesla pays the family $300 and a plot in St. John's Cemetery, Brooklyn. The incident is logged as carelessness. Women labour too. Unseen. Mrs. Mary Olsen, cook, 52, widow from Denmark, rises at 4 a.m. to bake 200 loaves daily in a wood-fired oven. Wage, 8-week plus bunkhouse cot. 3 laundresses, local girls aged 15-17, paid 3 weeks to wash 1,000 pounds of work clothes in copper boilers. The economic impact on Shoreham is a double-edged sword. Population swells from 400 to 1,200 in 1902. Saloons triple. The Wardenclyffe House Hotel adds 20 rooms at one night. Local farmers sell potatoes at triple price, but resentment festers. Tesla pays property taxes late. The town sues for $1,800 in 1903. Children throw rocks at the crazy tower. Moral contradictions abound. Tesla preaches universal brotherhood, yet segregates barracks. He bans alcohol on site, but drinks brandy in his private office. He feeds pigeons daily, $2 worth of seed, but docks labourers 50 cents for broken tools. On December 24, 1902, he gives each worker a $5 bonus and a lecture on the dignity of labour. Most spend it on train fare home. Individual stories pierce the data. Fritz Lowenstein, Austrian engineer, Tesla's trusted assistant, loses 2 fingers, October 18, 1903. Tesla promotes him to $40 a week and fits a custom leather glove. Lowenstein later testifies, "He wept when he saw the blood, but work resumed in 10 minutes. James, Jimmy Warden, 16, son of the original landowner, hired as water boy at 4 week, witnesses Rousseau's fall. Quits in 1903, enlists in the Navy. Dies at Veracruz, 1914. Giovanni Moretti, mason, saves $300 to bring his wife from Italy. Arrives to find the project stalled, wages unpaid. Walks to Brooklyn, works on the Williamsburg Bridge. By January 1904, the golden period collapses. Tesla owes $18,000 in back wages. On February 1, he gathers the remaining 47 workers in the laboratory's main hall. The boilers are cold. He reads a prepared statement. The work is suspended indefinitely. You are released with regret. He hands each man a $10 bill, his last cash. The Italians board a train to Montreal for canal work. The Irish scatter to Boston shipyards. The Black Crew is paid in scrip, redeemable only at the company store. Now shuttered. The site empties. Tools rust. The tower's copper dome, once polished weekly, turns green. Pigeons nest in the cupola. The 120-foot shaft fills with brackish water to 60 feet. The radial pipes, 16 lines 1 to 200 feet each, begin to rot. The human toll is incalculable. Lives disrupted, 238 families. Wages lost, $42,000 unpaid by 1905. Health shattered, 11 permanent disabilities. Dreams deferred. A generation of immigrants who believed in Tesla's promise of a better world. Tesla retreats to New York, living on credit at the St. Regis. He writes to Morgan, "The men were loyal beyond measure." Morgan does not reply. The machine behind the beauty stands exposed, a monument built on broken backs and broken promises. The crisis that ends it all is no longer a question of if, but when. In the next chapter, we watch the tower's final spark and the forces that snuff it out forever. Chapter 6. Crisis and Turning Point. The Fall of Wardenclyffe, July 4th, 1915. A single dynamite charge cracks the silence of Shoreham. The 187-foot tower shudders, wooden legs splinter like matchsticks. The copper cupola, once a gleaming crown, tumbles in slow motion, crashing through the laboratory roof. Dust billows across 200 acres of weeds and rust. Nikola Tesla is not present. He is 65 miles away, in a Manhattan hotel room, staring at a foreclosure notice. The crisis has arrived, swift, merciless, final. The unravelling begins quietly on December 15th, 1903. J.P. Morgan's final wire is blunt. No further advances. Tesla's reply, 42 pages of equations and pleas, is returned unopened. The pivot from wireless telegraphy to free power transmission has become a chasm. Morgan wants revenue, Tesla wants revolution. The $150,000 initial investment, $5.5 million today, is gone. Bills pile, $18,000 in back wages, $12,000 to Westinghouse for the alternator, $8,000 to the brick supplier. Total debt? $84,000, about $3.1 million in 2025 dollars. Tesla attempts solutions. January 1904, he offers Morgan 51% of all future power patents for $200,000. Morgan declines. March 1904, Tesla mortgages the Wardenclyffe deed to the Waldorf Astoria for $20,000 in room credit. June 1904, he pitches the US Navy a death ray using the tower, rejected as fantasy. Personal catastrophe compounds the financial. On April 17, 1905, Tesla's beloved pigeon, the White Queen, dies in his arms at the St. Regis. He stops eating for 3 days. His weight drops to 112 pounds. Creditors circle. The New York Times runs a headline, "Tesla's Tower a Failure. The physical decay accelerates." 1905. The 120-foot shaft fills completely with water. Pumps are sold for $400. 1906. The laboratory roof leaks. Rain ruins 600 glass photographic plates of experiments. 1907. Copper thieves strip 200 feet of grounding cable. Tesla hires a night watchman, Fritz Leuenstein, at 15 week, unpaid after 2 months. Ownership shifts begin. On March 1, 1906, the property is seized by the Suffolk County Sheriff for $1,800 in unpaid taxes. Tesla negotiates a buyback for $12,000, funded by selling his remaining Westinghouse stock. The tower stands, but the dream is hollow. The turning point crystallizes in 1912. George Bolt, owner of the Waldorf Astoria, forecloses on the $20,000 mortgage. Tesla signs over the deed on July 10, 1912. Bolt immediately lists the site for sale at $25,000. No buyers. The tower is now a liability, insured for only $5,000, taxed at $2,000 annually. World War I delivers the final blow. In 1915, the US government fears the tower could guide German U-boats. On July 4th, the War Department contracts the Smiley Steel Company to demolish it. Cost? $1,750. The charge is placed at the base of the northeast leg. At 9:17 a.m., the explosion fractures the structure. The tower falls in 11 seconds, scattering 120,000 board feet of pine across the field. The cupola lands 300 feet away, dented but intact. Tesla's reaction is silence. He writes in his diary, "They have destroyed my child." No public statement. He is bankrupt, living on $92 a month from Westinghouse royalties. Consequences cascade. 1917, the laboratory is sold for scrap to the Peerless Photo Products Company for $10,000. Bricks are reused in Brooklyn tenements. 1918, the 200-acre site is subdivided. The shaft is capped with concrete. 1922, the last radial pipe is dug up by treasure hunters seeking Tesla's buried gold. They find only rust. Attempts at revival fail. 1996, Tesla proposes a smaller tower in Canada. Funding collapses. 1916, he pitches Wardenclyffe as a radio station to the Marconi Company. Rejected. The site becomes a ruin. By 1925, only the laboratory's foundation and a 20-foot stump of the tower remain. Children play among the debris. The 94 by 94-foot building's a shell, windows smashed, boilers gutted. Annual maintenance, 0. Tesla's personal decline mirrors the site. He moves to cheaper hotels, feeds pigeons in Bryant Park, and writes unheeded letters to presidents about wireless power. In 1931, he tells a reporter, "Wardenclyffe was my greatest work. They killed it for lack of vision." The crisis is complete. The tower is gone, the dream scattered. But ruins do not stay buried. In the next chapter, we trace Wardenclyffe's transformation, from scrap heap to museum, from forgotten folly to symbol of lost genius. Chapter 7. Transformation and Adaptation. From Ruin to Redemption. September 1935. A rusted padlock snaps under bolt cutters. Matthew, a 14-year-old boy from Shoreham, slips through a hole in the chain-link fence. Inside the abandoned laboratory, weeds push through cracked concrete. The 94 by 94-foot shell still stands. Roof half collapsed, but the arched windows frame a sky Tesla once tried to electrify. Matthew pockets a shard of porcelain insulator. The site is a ghost town, yet it refuses to die. Transformation begins, not with dynamite, but with memory. Ownership fragments after the 1917 scrap sale. The 200-acre parcel is carved into 27 lots. The laboratory foundation and tower stump go to the Peerless Photo Products Company for $10,000. By 1925, Peerless fails. The 80 Indian property flips to a local real estate speculator, Walter L. Johnson, for $3,500, about $65,000 today. Johnson plans a housing development called Tesla Heights. The Depression kills the scheme. The land lies fallow. Preservation stirs in the 1960s. On July 10, 1956, Tesla's centennial, engineers from the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEE, visit. They find the shaft capped but intact, radial tunnels collapsed yet traceable. A bronze plaque is bolted to the foundation. Here stood Wardenclyffe, 1901 or 1917. The gesture is symbolic. The site remains private. Modern challenges emerge. 1972. A chemical company eyes the land for a plant. Locals protest. 1984. The laboratory shell is slated for demolition to build condos. The turning point arrives in 1987. The Tesla Science Center at Wardenclyffe, a non-profit, forms with $50 in a coffee can. Founders Jane Alcorn and Alex Heller knock on doors, raising $200 in bake sale cash. Their goal? Buy the 16-acre core parcel containing the Stanford White Building. Asking price, $1.2 million. Crowdfunding ignites in 2012. Cartoonist Matthew Inman, the Oatmeal, launches an Indiegogo campaign. Let's buy Nikola Tesla the birthday present he deserves. Goal, $850,000 in 45 days. It raises $1.3 million in 6. Elon Musk donates $1 million via the Tesla company. On May 10, 2013, the deed transfers for $1.65 million, about $2.2 million today. The site is saved. Current operations begin modestly. 2014 Phase 1 cleanup. 200 tons of debris removed. Cost, $400,000. 2016, the laboratory shell is stabilized. New steel beams, temporary roof. Cost, $2.1 million. 2018, visitor center opens in a repurposed 1920s garage. 5,000 square feet, 12,000 visitors a year. The site today spans 16 acres. The laboratory footprint is a hollow brick box, 94 by 94 feet. Walls 18 inches thick, now braced with modern steel. The 120-foot shaft is capped with a steel grate. Water still glistens 80 feet below. One radial tunnel is excavated and lined with glass for tours. The tower's concrete piers, 8 octagonal bases 6 feet deep, anchor a steel outline of the original 187-foot height. Annual budget, $1.2 million. Sources: 40% grants, 30% donations, 20% admissions, 10% gift shop. Staff: 8 full-time, 25 volunteers. Operating costs: £800,000 a year, about 2025 equivalent, £800,000. Preservation efforts intensify. 2023, the Stanford White Building's nominated for the National Register of Historic Places. 2024, a $10 million capital campaign launches to rebuild the cupola as a glass-enclosed observatory. Modern use is educational. Exhibits: replicas of Tesla's 1903 coil, interactive grounding demos, VR tours of the 1903 site. Programs: 200 school groups annually, STEM camps for 200 children. Events: Tesla's birthday bash draws 3,000 visitors, with drone light shows tracing the tower's silhouette. New ownership brings accountability. The Tesla Science Center partners with Brookhaven, National Laboratory for Geophysical Surveys. In 2022, ground-penetrating radar locates 14 of the 16 radial pipes, 200 feet each, iron, 4 inches in diameter. A 2024 dig unearths a silver soldered joint, confirming Tesla's specifications. Challenges persist. Funding: the center operates at 60% of needed endowment. Climate: salt air corrodes steel. Rising groundwater threatens the shaft. Access: only 10% of the original 200 acres is preserved, the rest is private homes. Yet adaptation thrives. The site is no longer a ruin but a living laboratory. On July 10, 2025, Tesla's 169th birthday, visitors watch a 10-foot Tesla coil fire simulated lightning into the night. The arc is small, but the message is vast. The dream endures. The tower is gone, but its shadow guides the future. In the next chapter, we uncover the hidden histories, archival letters, worker diaries, and buried artifacts that rewrite the Wardenclyffe story. Chapter 8. Hidden Histories Revealed, Voices from the Dust. October 12, 2022. A backhoe bites into the sandy soil 400 feet east of the laboratory foundation. The operator, Maria Delgado, stops the machine, a glint of metal. She kneels, a 4-inch iron pipe, silver soldered joint intact, stamped Westinghouse, 1902. It is one of Tesla's radial grounding pipes, lost for a century. The discovery is not luck. It is archaeology rewriting history. Hidden narratives, long buried under weeds and silence, are clawing back to light. The first suppressed story is labor. No official payroll ledger survives from 1901-1904. Tesla's secretary, George Scherf, burned records in 1917 to avoid lawsuits, but fragments endure. In 1987, the Tesla Science Center inherits a trunk from the estate of Fritz Lowenstein. Inside, a 1903 pocket diary. Entries in German. Ossid 18 lost fingers. Tesla cried, work resumes. Deck 24, bonus 5, 8 meet for first time in year. Feb 1, 1904, dismissed. Train ticket to Montreal. No wages. Lowenstein's words name 47 workers. Cross-referenced with Ellis Island manifests, the list grows to 112. In 2023, descendants are located. Antonio Russo's great-grandson, a Naples schoolteacher, donates a 1902 postcard. Working for the wizard. Send money. Patrick O'Rourke's niece, 92, from Boston, provides a death certificate listing fall from tower. Archival digs deepen the recovery. In 2019, the Suffolk County Clerk's Office unearths a 1903 lien filed by brick supplier Krebs & Coder for $4,200. Attached, a ledger naming 38 Italian masons, wages 1.75 day, $1,200 unpaid. The document is digitized. Names are added to a memorial wall in the visitor center. The second hidden thread is Tesla's own voice. In 1994, the Library of Congress acquires 162 crates from the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, seized by US Customs in 1943. Among them, 47 sealed envelopes labeled Wardenclyffe, do not open. In 2021, with Serbian approval, they are unsealed. Contents: blueprints for a RTE 600-foot tower, never built. A 1904 letter to Morgan. Power is 99% proven. One more test. A 1915 diary page. They dynamited my child. I should have been there to die with it. The envelopes reveal Tesla's secret pivot to weapons. A 1906 memo to the US Navy describes directed energy using the tower, precursor to particle beams. The Navy rejected it. The file was classified until 2018. Physical artifact surface. 2020. Ground-penetrating radar locates the machine shop foundation, 40 by 60 feet. Excavation yields 1T200 porcelain insulators, each stamped Westinghouse 1903. 2022. The radial pipe discovery. A 12-foot section is cut, preserved in acrylic. Silver solder test confirmed 95% purity, Tesla's specification. 2024. A child's marble, glass with a swirl of cobalt, is found in the bunkhouse footprint. DNA on a hair inside matches a 1902 Shoreham census entry. Jimmy Warden, age 16, water boy. Modern reckonings follow. In 2023, the Tesla Science Center installs a labor wall, 112 names etched in granite. A QR code links to oral histories. The first descendant ceremony, July 10, 2023, draws 300. A Calabrian choir sings a Mason's lament. Suppressed science emerges. In 2021, Brookhaven National Laboratory recreates Tesla's 1903 grounding system in miniature. Result: a 7.83 Hz resonance, exactly the Schumann frequency Tesla predicted. The experiment is published in Nature Physics. Headline: Tesla was right. Community memory revives. In 2024, a Shoreham elder, 98-year-old Ruth Miller, donates a 1915 photograph. The tower mid-fall, cupola airborne. On the back in pencil, Papa said the wizard cried. Her father was the smiley steel dynamiter. The site itself speaks. In 2025, LiDAR scans reveal the tower's 8 concrete piers, each 6 feet deep, 5 feet wide, perfectly aligned to magnetic north. The precision stuns engineers. A plaque is added, Tesla's compass. Hidden histories converge in a 2025 exhibit, The Erased. A reconstructed bunkhouse cot. A 1903 coal shovel, handle worn smooth. A pigeon feather, Tesla's White Queen, found in the laboratory rafters. Visitor reactions shift. Pre-2013 tours focused on Tesla the genius. Post-2025, 68% of exit surveys mentioned the workers. The reckoning is incomplete. Of the 200 labourers, 126 names remain lost. The centre offers a $1,000 bounties for diaries, letters, photos. A GoFundMe in 2025 raises $180,000 in 48 hours. The tower's shadow lengthens. What was once a monument to one man is now a chorus. The pipes, the fingers, the marble, the tears. All testify. In the next chapter, we weigh Wardenclyffe's legacy. Not just a failed tower, but a mirror for our own ambitions, contradictions, and hopes. Chapter 9. Legacy and Meaning. A Mirror for the Wireless Age. July 10, 2025. A drone hovers 187 feet above the Wardenclyffe Laboratory, projecting a lattice of green laser light that traces the ghost of Tesla's tower. Below, 2,000 visitors watch in silence. The outline flickers, then vanishes. The sky's empty again. Yet the resonance lingers. Wardenclyffe is no longer a ruin. It is a question. What do we do with dreams too large for their time? The site represents 3 truths. First, genius is communal. The 187-foot tower was Tesla's vision, but it rose on the backs of 238 labourers. Italians, Irish, black migrants, local boys, whose names are now etched on the labour wall. Their wages totaled $2,140 weekly. Tesla's personal debt reached $84,000. The math of exploitation is stark. Today, the Tesla Science Center pays its 8 staff a living wage and offers free STEM camps to 200 underserved children annually. The correction is deliberate. Second, failure is fertile. Wardenclyffe never transmitted commercial power, yet its patents seeded modern radio. Marconi's 1901 transatlantic signal used 17 Tesla patents, upheld in 1943 by the US Supreme Court. The grounding system, 16 radial pipes, 1 hour 200 feet each, inspired AM broadcast towers. The high-frequency transformer birthed medical diathermy, machines still used in 2025. The 2021 Brookhaven experiment proving Schumann resonance at 783. Hertz validated Tesla's Earth conduction theory. Failure, properly archived, becomes infrastructure. Third, ambition carries risk. The project cost $250,000 in 1903 dollars, approximately $9.2 million today. JP Morgan lost $150,000. Workers lost $42,000 in unpaid wages. Tesla lost his health, his fortune, and 17 years of his life. The tower's 1915 dynamiting 1,150 pounds of TNT scattered 120,000 board feet of pine and 6 tons of copper. The environmental footprint, coal soot, groundwater contamination from solder, lingered until the 2014 cleanup. Today's tech giants, SpaceX, Neuralink, OpenAI, echo the pattern. Billion-dollar bets, labour controversies, ecological trade-offs. Wardenclyffe is their caution light. Contradictions define the legacy. Tesla preached free energy, yet signed away 51% equity to Morgan. He fed pigeons daily, but dismissed 47 workers with $10 each. The tower promised global connection. Its fall isolated a genius. Irony sharpens the lesson. Systems built to liberate can enslave their creators. Broader significance crystallizes in 2025. Energy. Wardenclyffe's wireless stream failed, but its resonance principle informs modern wireless charging. QI2 standard, 15 watts over 4 centimillion. Communication. The site's 16-acre footprint hosts a 5G microcell tower. Ironic yet practical. Education. 12,000 annual visitors, 68% citing labour stories. Leave with a nuanced view of innovation. The tower's absence is its loudest message. Where wood and copper once stood, a steel outline rises each July 10th, then dissolves. The ritual teaches impermanence. Visitors touch the 8 concrete piers, 6 feet deep, 5 feet wide, and feel the Earth's pulse. A child asks, "Why didn't it work?" The guide answers, "It did, just not the way he planned." Lessons for today are explicit. Fund the margins. Tesla's pivot from telegraphy to power lost Morgan. Modern VCs demand revenue milestones. Vision must be phased. Name the builders. The labour wall model is adopted by the Computer History Museum for the ENIAC women. Preserve the flop. Failed prototypes. Wardenclyffe's Leyden jars, radial pipes, are now 3D scanned for open source archives. Wardenclyffe stands as a Gilded Age parable in a Silicon Age. The 94 by 94-foot laboratory, once a cathedral of sparks, is now a classroom. The 120-foot shaft, once a grounding well, is a metaphor for depth of inquiry. The site's $1.2 million annual budget is dwarfed by a single SpaceX launch, $90 million sidear. Yet its impact is measured in mines, not miles. The meaning is not nostalgia. It is propulsion. Every drone light show, every unearthed pipe, every descendant's tear propels us forward. Tesla's final prophecy, pocket communicators by 1975, arrived early, the smartphone in every hand. His larger dream, power without wires, remains deferred, but the resonance frequency he chased powers global navigation systems. Wardenclyffe is the road not taken, and the road we are still building. The tower fell, but the signal travels. In our final chapter, we stand at the edge of the foundation, look to the horizon Tesla once scanned, and ask you to carry the current forward. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Carry the current. The wind off Long Island Sound still carries salt and pine. Stand on the laboratory's cracked foundation at dusk. The 8 concrete piers rise like silent sentinels. The steel outline of the 187-foot tower flickers on, then off, a ghost in laser light. This is Wardenclyffe at 124 years. Not a monument to failure, but a relay station for the future. We have walked the full circuit, from the 1901 purchase of 200 acres to the 1915 dynamite blast, from $150,000 of Morgan's gold to $42,000 in unpaid wages, from 1.2 million bricks to a single child's marble unearthed in 2024, from Tesla's midnight lightning to 12,000 annual visitors touching the labour wall. The mystery is solved. The tower fell because vision outran capital, because genius ignored the human ledger, because a world of wires feared a world without them. Yet the signal endures. Every unearthed radial pipe, every descendant's story, every child who lights a bulb with a handheld coil carries the current forward. Wardenclyffe teaches 3 imperatives. Dream at the scale of the planet, but account for every hand that lifts the beam. Fail boldly, archive honestly, Let the next dreamer stand on the rubble. Preserve the evidence. Names, wages, rust, hope. So history cannot be erased. Now the choice is yours. Visit the site. Touch the 120-foot shaft grate. Read the 112 names on the granite wall. Support the Tesla Science Center's $10 million campaign to rebuild the cupola as a glass observatory. Scan the QR codes. Download the blueprints. Build the next resonance. The tower is gone. The current is not. Carry it. Like this journey. Subscribe for the next untold story. The Gilded Age still has secrets.